Cool. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I just wanted to say hi. This is our original, I don't know what we're calling this panel yet. I think it's going to be like the original musicians of Abbey Road on the River talk about John Lennon.
Yeah, I like that.
So we're keeping it really informal. But I want to introduce the man you all know, Joe Johnson from Beatle Brunch, who's going to take it away.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
I'm sorry
Joe.
we didn't get together this year, but it's great to see all of you, and everybody's been working so hard, and we love you guys, and we hope to see you back very soon. Well, people who don't know and are watching this, I host a show called Beatle Brunch, and you can find it at beatlebrunch.com or brunchradio.com. It's easy to catch up with the show, and you can become a member and listen to shows on demand and that kind of thing. Been doing it for almost 30 years. 30 years. So, to tell you, that's 3 tours of Beatles, pretty much.
That's before we were born.
That's exactly what I wasn't going to say. Okay, well, let me introduce down there on the with the hat and the 2 guys in the same frame. In case you don't know, that's Andy Forgy and Mark Rashad. They started their long and winding road together in 1968. Really, right after Hey Jude.
What?
Absolutely.
As 7th graders in their hometown of Bellevue, Ontario, Canada. And between 76 and 81, Andy and Mark recorded for various record labels, including Buddha, Capitol Parlophone, and their band's Creed, the original Creed. Is that what I'm to think?
Absolutely,
Okay.
the original Creed.
And Photograph. They formed All You Need Is Love, which is a fantastic concept, in 1999. And they played throughout North America, England, and Belgium, as well as on the 70s Rock and Romance cruise, where I met you guys, and again, at many Abbey Road on the Rivers, leading the closing ceremonies up there. So, and this is pretty special. Over the past 22 years, Andy, with the hat there, Andy has been performing musical therapy for battling Alzheimer's and has been recognized by Queen Elizabeth II for his contributions. The second. Meanwhile, Mark is the owner and visionary of the Empire Theater in their hometown, presenting world-renowned recording artist since 2003. He's also the lead guitarist and manager of the amazing Jay Clemens and Jay Clemens Band, who appeared at Abbey Road on the River a couple of years ago. So welcome, you guys.
Hey,
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Let's go to the man on the bottom here, Peter Conrad. His solo acoustic shows feature classic songs from all those years ago, along with audience requests. His request books of over 2,000 songs from Sinatra to Johnny Cash, Zeppelin, every band in Abbott is Zeppelin. That would be good, right?
I'm going to change it.
You can have it.
Use that.
Since 1999, he's performed at venues and special events in the U.S., Canada, the U.K., Scotland. He's released 9 solo CDs, performed as a guest musician on all kinds of local music in Ohio. He's also featured on the Central Ohio Musicians Perform the Music of CD series, covering songs from 66 through 69. In 2002, Peter was invited to perform the original song Goodbye George at the first official Abbey Road on the River in Cleveland. The song debuted at Abbey Road with George's sister. I would assume that's Louise, right?
Correct.
And watching from the side of the stage. And for the performance, Peter was backed by the Canadian band All You Need Is Love, whom we just met, beginning a friendship that's lasted till today. He's one of the few musicians who has performed at every Abbey Road on the River since 2002, and he will again soon when we get back together. In 2016, his original music was featured in the worldwide DVD of the documentary A Beatle in Benton. That has to do with Louise Harrison, I know that.
Correct.
In 2017. He is a spokesperson and an endorsing musician for Gretsch guitars. He plays them exclusively. His latest CD is called Mystical Moon. It's where you can find CDs all over. There it is. It's beautiful. So Peter Conrad, I know you do the Wilburys tribute, and you are so entertaining when I see you on stage. So thanks for breaking time out today to come to this show. This is really fantastic. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, holding his guitar so we can see it with all his awards in the background. It's Hal Bruce, the only person in the world to be inducted in 2 Beatle Festival's Halls of Fame, plus the Nova Scotia Country Music Hall of Fame. He's the People's Choice as Nova Scotia's favorite musician by the Halifax Herald newspaper. 12 awards. We only see half of them back there. Internationally, nationally, regionally, Entertainer of the Year, Male Vocalist of the Year, Song of the Year, Video of the Year, Group of the Year. Beatle fans love Hal Bruce. He is the warm and wonderful, inviting guy. And in 2014, Beatles songs, he performed 214, I'm sorry, he performed 214 Beatles songs in a nonstop medley in front of 5,000 people in Cleveland, then Louisville, Liverpool, Washington, D.C., and Halifax, Nova Scotia. And Hal, am I to assume that is every officially recorded Beatles song in order?
Yeah, the official albums, because they had stuff like live at the BBC that I didn't cover.
Right, right.
The
Now, did you
official
do them in
release.
the order that they were recorded, or did you do them
I did.
alphabetically?
I did them in the order of release, and then I realized once I was 13 songs into it, I knew that number 14 was Twist and Shout, and I thought, oh my God, I'm screeching my guts out. And then I realized I had 200 more songs to do. You know what? Doing stuff like Dear Prudence, then I'd have to kick into Helter Skelter, you know. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a throat wrecker for sure.
Well, you should have done the acoustic version of Twist and Shout. There is one. I mean, the Isley Brothers is a little more tame than what John.
Yeah,
Lennon
it is. Yeah, yeah.
Hal's recorded 15 albums, starting with charting with #1 numbers of singles. His latest album is called Rocksteady, which was remixed and re-released about a year ago. It's fantastic. So welcome, everybody. We're going to talk John Lennon and Beatles today, and I know all of you are very passionate about the Beatles and John Lennon, as I am too. I want to hear, I guess we'll start with Hal, because I'm seeing you here in the upper left on my screen. Hal, tell me about the first time you heard the Beatles and why John Lennon jumped out to you. What was it about that moment?
Actually, not a lot of people know this, I don't think, but Yarmouth, which is a little town in Nova Scotia, it's a little fishing and a ferry town, like where the ferry goes from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia to, I think, Bar. They were the first, they had the radio station that played the very first Beatles song in North America. Because I guess there was a fan that came over from England, Liverpool, and they said, you gotta listen to this song station, and they played it. So this is before they were officially even introduced to America. And I remember hearing it. And then when the Beatles came on, Ed Sullivan, of course, February 9th of '64, I had been going through quite a number of life changes. My parents split up. I went to live with my grandma for 2 years, and she played piano. And I was trying to find my way with music. I knew that there was something in music that I really liked. I liked Elvis back at that end of the day. I was around 58. So anyway, to get to the point, the Ed Sullivan Show, kind of to I knew kind of a dream or something that I thought that was attainable. You know, when you're 11 years old, you think you can do anything. And me coming kind of latched on to the Beatles, and more particularly John, because he was sarcastic, he had a lot of wit. He was a great gritty singer, but yet he could sing about really, really nice. You Really Got a Hold on Me, you know, which was an old Smokey Robinson song. So all the stuff that he did was my favorite, the early Beatles, followed closely by Paul. But I mean, John had something there that I wanted to be like, but I was never, I didn't have the wit, or I didn't have the sarcasm that he had or anything like that. So it's just like I had this imaginary kind of thing. I'm going to be a Beatle when I grow up. I don't know. So and me, you know, I only knew, I think, 3 chords at the time, G, C, and D, and they all sounded the same. They all
That's how they all
like
sound
G.
when I play them. They sound.
I'm still playing those 3 chords.
Yeah. So I started playing like Help and stuff in '65, still knew the 3 chords. And I tried to make it sound as good as I could with 3 chords. So when I showed people, like my mom, she said, "Yeah, that's different." I thought it sounded pretty cool. But anyway, that was to the Beatles, and particularly John. He was just the kind of guy that just had the real sass on stage and real grit and the soul.
What was the song that they brought over to Canada to play that year?
Now, I remember hearing it, but I think it was From Me to You or She Loves You. And I can't remember which one. But
it's likely For Me to You.
And actually,
that was the one that I think they brought over to Benton, Illinois, back in '60. George Harrison apparently brought that up.
Yeah, George Harrison brought it over, yeah. So I heard it, and like I say, it was either From Me to You.
Can you do the beginning riff of From Me to You for us on the guitar? Yeah, just
For
the,
me to
yeah,
you?
the intro.
Is there any?
Because if you listen to it without the harmonica, that's really what you hear is the acoustic guitar.
There you go.
Beautiful.
That'll be $10, please, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
You pay for a high diving act, you're going to get one.
that's right. Fantastic. All right, we wanted 13-second renditions, and that's what we got. Okay, Andy and Mark, tell us all watching about. You guys have been lifelong friends since you were, a couple of, barely 12 years old. Tell me about how you got together. Did you get together because of music, or were you just neighbors or buds, or what was the genesis of that?
Oh, it was music, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we wouldn't hang out with each other for
Not
any
a
other
chance.
reason.
Not a chance.
So what was the song that got you together? What is it? When you saw the Beatles, like Hal, you saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, or was it
We
before
did.
that?
Yeah, we actually, Andy and I sort of had almost the identical story.
Pretty much.
Sitting in front of our TV sets. That was a lot grumpier. My dad sat in the chair at the back, yelling at the TV set, telling to get that GD haircuts, yelling at the TV. And my sister was just far away from the TV, screaming her head off. So I was in the middle, and it was just like, this is great. I didn't know Andy, but he was doing the same thing up at his place.
Absolutely. My brother, that room, the room with the invisible line
Yes,
down the
of
middle.
course.
That's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
side.
yeah.
That's your side. And anyways, so we were getting ready for school the next day, of course, Monday morning, and we weren't allowed to stay up past 8 o'clock on a Sunday. And my mom and dad called us downstairs to see this program, and we just tore down those stairs as quick as we could, anything to stay up past 8 o'clock, and sat down in front of that black and white TV set with the rabbit ears on the top of it. And anyways, it was magic. It was absolute magic. And we were wearing our matching cowboy pajamas. Paladin was our favorite, and so we had Paladin PJs, and we watched the Beatles together, and that was it for me. I knew I'd never play for the Leafs after that.
Well, so then did you guys start
Exactly.
coordinating
Far
to
from
play
home.
music together?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in 7th grade, and I played the guitar a bit, and Mark played the guitar, and we were coming from 2 different schools that we met in the same school. And anyways, to cut to the quick, we had some buddies. We were trying to put a band together, and our drummer told me about this guy who had a Beatle haircut and played the guitar.
He's just got it on upside down right now.
That's right.
And played the guitar, and that we should get together with him. And we did, and here we are all these years later.
Yep. And now Andy and I wear our Paladin pajamas together all the time. So it's really weird how it all worked out. But it's
Garanimals,
We still have
they
that invisible
match.
line down the middle.
That's funny. I wanted to make sure people understand, when I saw All You Need Is Love, I saw you guys in Miami a couple of years ago, or before I met you, maybe 10 years ago. I didn't realize what the concept of the show was, and it was to play the Love CD by the Beatles, right? The Love mixes with Giles Martin, George Martin.
Correct.
In that sequence, in that production value from start to finish. That was brilliant. A brilliant idea. And
Well,
how's it been received over the years?
Oh, it's been great, and I can tell you that between Gary and Hal were the ones that
Yeah.
actually.
Hal's got tip your hat there, Hal. Yes.
There you go.
Hal was one of the original motivators behind that particular production. And anyways, without his vision and guidance and talent, it probably never would have come together. But things moved around a little bit, and the personnel changed up a little bit, but the concept never varied. It was always the same, to tackle this beast of this wonderful beast, this beautiful beast, and try to perform it as exciting and as letter perfect as possible.
And it was always the fun thing with the Love Show, as Hal will attest to, is the fact that we played these songs for 50 years. And then all of a sudden we had to relearn these songs with different solos on top of different songs, on top of different chords, and everything all mixed in together. Yeah. And it drove us crazy, especially that first year, if not the first or second year, until it kind of locked in.
I'm still not right.
Oh, I know. we still, whenever we do songs, we always look at each other. Is this the love version or
Yeah,
the original
which
version?
version are we doing?
And,
Yes,
and
yes.
then when we start playing it, we can never figure out which one is the right one.
You know what?
So
I
this is the way-
have something I have to send you. The Capitol Records sent me when the Love Show came out. These breakout discs of George and Giles going through the song, saying, "Here's Drive My Car. Here's Taxman.
Right.
Okay, you're going to hear You Won't See Me, and you're going to hear the drum riff from what you're doing." It's really you hear them in a whole new way. So I should make sure you guys get a copy of those CDs. They're pretty spectacular. And Hal, I'll have
Don't
to,
forget Hal. And don't
and
forget
Peter,
like
I'll
one.
have to upload them and download them to you guys. But it's game changing when you hear that. But
Sure is.
and whether or not that helps with your show, but your show's been in production for a while. So what a great story. You were talking about your dad, Andy, and I remember, or was it, I don't know, Mark, I guess maybe both of you. My dad was the same way. He was anti-Beatles, and years later we were in the car, and an instrumental version, a Montevani version of Yesterday came on. He goes, "Oh, that's music. That's what you ought to be listening
That's
to."
music. I love it. I love it.
Well, let's say hi to
But
Peter Conrad. Peter is when I first met you at Abbey Road on the River, it was really on your Wilburys performance, your show.
Yeah.
So tell me about first hearing the Beatles and why John Lennon jumped off the note page to you.
My cousins that I hung out with were huge music fans, and they were always listening to the Ventures, the Beach Boys, the Temptations, all this great music, James Brown. And they had a pile in their bedroom of all the records out of the sleeves. It would drive me crazy. And they just sort through them and put them on. I was over playing with them one day, and they were telling me about this new band called the Beetle Baileys that I had to hear. And so they played me I Want to Hold Your Hand. No picture sleeve. And I was convinced they were called the Beetle Baileys.
That's a great name.
So that was on a Saturday. And so on Sunday, they invited me over to their house because they had the big, great TV to watch the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. First time I ever saw them. And it knocked me out. Never heard anything like this. My big hits at the time were Froggy Went A-Courtin', the Chipmunk song. So this was a game changer. And what I remember most about that Ed Sullivan show is John Lennon planting both feet on the stage and just not really moving. John's dancing, or George is dancing, Paul's doing the, and John is just daring you to say something to him. Blew me away, just blew me away. So that's my really, really big memory. And then from there, I just bought everything I could get my hands on, learned to play guitar. And
Did you get duped into buying that single by Lauren Green called Ringo?
Yes.
It went to #1, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Full disclosure, I have all of the Yoko albums.
Yeah.
I have all the Sean, the Julian, the
Yeah.
whatever the aspect, I have them. Do
You
I
gotta
play
have
them?
them,
No.
Yeah. Now, this is open for anybody, because when I talk to musicians like yourselves, a lot of times they say the reason they got into a band or formed a band or wanted to play music is because they enjoyed what the Beatles were doing. Then there's a camp that says, we knew we could get girls. You know, the girls were screaming at the Beatles, and they weren't screaming at the regular guys in class anymore. So was
that wasn't
a
me.
consideration? That wasn't you?
Well,
no, I
those,
was not my.
No,
It's a myth.
Andy?
those grade 7 girls are pretty hot, you know.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
Please edit that out. Please edit that.
When
Well, I
you're
was
in
just
grade 7.
thinking.
When you're in grade
please,
7.
please, Andy. Yes, okay. Let's clarify what that
Where's
meant.
Melissa? Where's the button?
no. Well, when you're the same age, that's
That's right, it's
everybody
okay.
knows.
All right.
That's
It was all about playing the music for me.
yeah.
Absolutely. Just learning how to play those songs and playing. All my friends played. So I had, like Andy and Mark, I had guys that I played with.
Did it? What? All right. So, Peter, what was the first Beatles song you remember playing? You know, semi-successfully, I would guess.
Okay. My mother sent me to lessons, to get guitar lessons. She walked by my bedroom one day in 1966, and I was sitting on my bed playing and singing Yellow Submarine very successfully.
Perfect.
My mom said, "That's fantastic. Is that what you learned from your lessons?" And I said, "No, Mom, here's what I learned." And I played Little Brown Jug on one string. And she said, "You can play Yellow Submarine, but after 6 lessons, you only know Little Brown Jug. No more lessons."
Wow.
So that was the end of my lessons. And my first public performance was in the 6th grade also, where I was in the fake Beatles. And we had instruments that looked like theirs, the Gretsch and the Rickenbacker. We wore wigs and suits, and we mimed to Beatle records at lunchtime in front of the whole school.
I love it.
Fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Mark,
Now there's an act, Gary.
Mark and Andy, what about? Yeah, there's an act waiting for a booking agent. Andy and Mark, what was the first song that you guys played by the Beatles or by John that got you?
Well, this is the truth. Our very first dance that we ever played for the end of the year grade 7 party in the basement of a church.
St. Michael's Church.
St. Michael's Church. We played 13 songs. Now, 3 of those songs were by the Trogs.
Of course. But it just seems obvious, doesn't it?
We could have been a Trogs tribute band. Anyways.
The Trog Baileys.
But we did play one song by the Beatles. And this is what we played. Sort of like this. Just a taste. Just a taste. Here I stand, head in hand, turn my face to the wall. If she's gone, I can't go on, feeling 2 foot tall. And everywhere people stand, each and every day, and I can see them laugh at me, and I hear them say, everybody now, hey, you got to hide your love away. Hey, you got to hide your love away.
Wow. Nice impromptu there. Very good. No, you didn't know that was coming. I just threw that out there.
Well, actually, that's cool that you asked that question. We were hoping maybe we could play a little bit of that. It also is, and Mark's got the list. I'll show you that list.
I've got the very first
3
list.
songs by the Trogs. So that leaves 10 more songs.
And
well, yeah,
Peter,
what are the 3?
Peter,
There's Wild Thing and there's the slow one. What's the slow one?
Love's All Around.
Love is All Around, right.
and
And
I can't control myself.
That one I don't remember.
Oh, no!
Isn't there? Isn't
I can't stand.
Isn't there another one?
The lights are low.
So if you think of just imagine Andy at grade 7 lying on the floor of the stage with the microphone screaming, "I can't control myself," and just slithering around. Some things have just never changed.
Was there another one there called "With a Girl Like You"?
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking of the Turtles.
With a girl like you. Yeah. Guys, let's put together a Trogs tribute band. We'll call ourselves Wild Thing.
That's a great idea. Hal, what about you? What was the first Beatles song that you attempted to play or that you played successfully?
Well, successfully, that was probably only about 20 years ago. My very first song that I remember, and I probably tried a few songs before that, but I tried to play Help. And again, going back to the same thing I played.
That's a hard song to play, though, for a solo artist.
When you get to learn how to play it properly, it's not that bad, but I played it again with 3 chords. So I'd be playing stuff like, I played it in G because that's the only chord I knew. I didn't know how to make an A, so this is going to sound terrible, but I go, when I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody helping anyway. And that's what I did. And I thought it sounded pretty cool. But when I started my first band, we were 13. I think the oldest member was 15. I was 13, and the youngest was 12. And we played at the same kind of a place. We played a church hall on a Saturday afternoon. They called it a sock hop. And it was for the girls. It was it was a girls club called CGIT, Canadian Girls in Training. And anyway,
That's almost as bad as 7th graders.
exactly, yeah. But
Melissa, where's the button?
yeah, but anyway, so they all paid, each gal paid 10 cents to come and see us. We were a 5-piece band. We plugged into one little cheap little trainer amplifier, and that was with the microphone plugged in, one microphone. And we played for these gals, and we played a couple of Beatles songs. I played my 3-chord rendition of Help, and the guys followed me. And anyway, so I think there's something like 90 to 100 gals that showed up. So we made a grand total of $90. $9.
Oh,
And
okay.
we split it up 5 ways, so I think we got $1.75 a piece. And I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's incredible. What is the, let me ask you, Mark and Andy, what is the most enjoyable Lennon themed song to play? What's the most enjoyable one? Which one do you like the most?
Yeah, enjoyable is probably the wrong word as far as enjoyable, but
Dear Prudence.
yeah, Dear Prudence is like my favorite song of all time.
In my life.
Yeah, but you know, our Dear Prudence story is thanks to Gary at the doing the White Album. What year was that? Was that 2013,
16,
16
maybe?
Yeah.
16.
And when we had a little bit of a special guest that came up on stage for that rendition, and Andy sang the song to Prudence herself. So
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And we were literally told about it maybe 30 minutes before it actually happened, and had no idea. They were keeping it kind of, well, maybe they were wondering whether or not she would actually want to come up on stage with us when we play this song. But bottom line is, we didn't know about it until a half an hour before showtime. And talk about just being so nervous to actually sing that song to the person that the song was written about. I mean, it's crazy.
That's pretty special.
I have
Yeah.
a snippet of that song if you guys want to see it.
whoa,
Can you
sure.
show it while we're doing
Share and
this?
show you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's see.
Aww.
Wow, that was great.
Yay.
Thank you, Abby Rhodes, just pulling that right out of the hat there.
I just found that. Yeah, Gary sent that to me yesterday. So.
Great way to do it. Okay, we're going to start calling for songs, so be ready. Did I ask you, Hal, what is the Beatles or John Lennon written or themed song that either means the most to you when you play it, or gets you misty, or is the best to sing along with for you?
To sing along with, I'm not sure, but I a lot of the time when I'm over in England, the very first time I was there in 2000, they took a chance on me going over as one of the only soloists to play there at that time. I did a day in the life, and I second guessed myself many times before I went over, because the very first song that I played there was Things We Said Today, which is kind of playing safe. So It was fairly easy if you know the chords, so the rhythm in it is good. It's an easy one to break into. So I did that one, and I had a nice little applause after that one, so it made it easier. Then when I got to A Day in the Life at the end of the set, I was still nervous about doing it. But by then, the crowd was kind of on my side. And so I did it, and that seems to be one of the big closing numbers that I can do, because I'm not a band. I try to make it as big as possible with the big chords, you know. There's an ascending thing that, you know, that kind of stuff. We try to do the swelling kind of a sound, but only with a guitar. So I took a chance on it, but it's been good for me. So it's one of those songs.
And Peter, let me ask you that question. Is there, I know you do a lot of Wilburys and you do a lot of later and solo stuff, but is there and that being the case, I guess, is there a John Lennon song that really gets to you that you really love playing?
There is, and it jumps right out to me. It's the song that Hal played in G,
Oh,
which is
okay.
Help.
Oh, Help in G. Okay, right.
And there's a bootleg of John Lennon doing Help on a piano. And he was talking about going out on tour to promote Double Fantasy. And he said, I'm going to do this one. And it's this song right here. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. Now these days are gone, I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind, opened up the door. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Everybody, won't you please help me, help me, help me.
Wow, nice going.
So that's my version based on John's bootleg and using Hal's opening chord.
Wow. Trying to involve everybody. That's great. I got to ask you guys, some musicians say that when they're playing a song by somebody who's no longer with us, that sometimes they like a spiritual thing or something eerie happens to you. Mark and Andy, did anything ever like that happen to you when you were playing a Lennon song? Anything that gave you a little goosebumps or something like that?
Yeah. We got to pivot just a little bit here on that one. We want to tell you a story about the night that John passed away. So it kind of fits in here. But on that particular night, Andy and I, in our Peloton pajamas, we were actually in a recording studio in Hamilton, Ontario, with Daniel Lanois, if you know that name. The producer was producing our album. And it was that night we were in the middle of mixing, I guess. We were doing
a coffee break or something.
Yeah, and we go upstairs and we hear Howard Cosell saying, actually all we heard was, yes, probably the most famous Beatle of all, dead at 40. And it was like, what? And then it went to a commercial, right?
Yeah.
And so we were all, what the? And of course, we weren't on the internet checking to see what it was. And we had to wait to come back.
And the only reason that Mark and I were there in that studio that night, recording for, of all labels, Capital Parlophone. The only reason that we got together and have been friends forever is because of John Lennon. That's it. I mean, that the buck stopped right there. And it was so weird for our dream to be coming true on the night that his dream, came to a conclusion. It was numbing.
But we all gathered around the TV, and when we finally heard what the whole story was, and we all just sat there, we cried. We were all there together, and then we were supposed to be there for another couple of days, and we just drove home that night. Where it's about 3 hours to our town from there, and we just drove home. Everybody, there was no way we could do anything else, so we drove home that night, and
listening to all those songs on the radio as we were going home. It was the longest drive ever, and
it was very quiet, not a lot of talking, and then we, like all of us that are on this screen, we cried for many days.
Wow, what a story. Hal, did you ever have a moment on stage playing a John Lennon song where something went bump in the night a little bit for you?
But when I was asked back in 2003, it was the first year I played for Abbey Road in the River. Just before I played there, I got a phone call from a fellow down the street. They were getting married, and they were going to get married on a really famous schooner called the Blue Nose. And they wanted me to play for their their wedding on the Blue Nose sailing ship. And they said, "Do you know Grow Old With Me by John Lennon?" I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I didn't know it. But anyway, I quickly learned it, and I loved it. Anyway, so I played it on the ship, and ever since that day, and then I went to Abbey Road on the River, I started playing that song too. That's another one that I don't play all the time, but back then when I learned it, I played it at every show, and I got a lot of requests for it. To go back to, it's almost the same as Andy and Mark there, when John was taken from us. Every time I did Grow Old With Me, I thought he didn't get a chance to grow old with his wife, and it was taken from him. And so the first bunch of times that I did it, and I did it over in Liverpool, and it went over really well. But I kind of went inside myself, and a couple of times I nearly, I don't know, because it was taken from him, and I nearly broke down. So it was a little bit hard to do. So that's a really sobering song for me to do.
Right.
But it's a lovely song, and that's actually a song that the words were written by, I think, Robert Browning, I think, back in the 17 or 1800s.
Oh, it was from a famous poem, I think.
Yeah, and I think I read it somewhere that John, being the way that he thought, that I heard somewhere that he was thinking that he was the reincarnation of Robert Browning.
Wow.
So he thought, well, I better write some music to the song. So he wrote the music to it. But so I don't know who gets credit for writing that song. I never looked it up. But anyway,
Isn't it interesting that many of the songs John wrote, he was inspired by something, whether it was a drawing his son made, whether it was a circus poster, whether it was a friend, in a predicament, or Browning, or it's interesting that some people get their inspiration from, they used to always accuse Paul of just making up, people, Vera, Chuck, and Dave, and all that stuff. And I think John's was more rooted in real situations, which I don't know if that makes it does, as songwriters, does it make it harder to write a song if you're working on something that really happened, or harder or easier if it's from your imagination?
For me, being a small-time songwriter, I wrote a song called "Wish Upon a Star," and the words actually, surprisingly, came to me really, really fast, but they were very difficult. It was really difficult. There's another song that was really difficult for me to sing because it was from my broken childhood, and I was bullied and all that kind of stuff. So that was hard for me to perform. It was easy to write because it was like I never changed a word in it. It just came to me, and so writing it, I put everything down on paper. But when I went to sing it, you have emotion when you sing. It's a little bit more three-dimensional when you sing it. So it was difficult for a little while. Same thing, because I felt every line in it about, my birth mom. She left when I was, I think, 7, just nearly 8. Went to live with my grandma for 2 years, and then when Dad got remarried, then we moved over to Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. So, and I was bullied in school, so that's part of the song too. So it was a difficult song to perform for a while.
Right. Well, we're so lucky that you're feeling great and here with us today, and on all of the cruises and Abbey Roads and stages and everything. Peter, how about you? Had you had a moment on stage that gave you goosebumps when you were playing a Lennon composition, or even
not particularly on stage, but in 2004, my wife Judy and I went to Liverpool, and I got to play the Cavern, as I know Hal and Andy and Mark have done as well. But we went on a small tour where we went to John's house and Paul's house. Got to go inside and do the tour. I'm sure we've all done this. After the tour, I had a very small backpacker guitar with me. I stood outside of Mendip's, John Lennon's house. Judy was filming me, and I was singing a couple of John songs, and the caretaker came to the door and he said, "I can't invite you in to do this because I have another tour coming, but if you want to come in and stand in the foyer," now this is where John and Paul used to harmonize with Aunt Mimi. I stood in that foyer and I sang 3 John Lennon. I've got goosebumps right now telling you this.
Mhm.
I sang in John Lennon's house, and I sang 3 of his songs.
Wow.
And then we left there, and I'm on cloud 9, and we went to Strawberry Field, got the backpacker out, and I decided to sing Strawberry Field with my wife filming me. And as cars came around the corner, they would slow down and roll the windows out, and they'd scream, "John Lennon," and go on down the road. Those are my 2 John Lennon moments. Not on stage,
Right.
but still, powerful, powerful images for me.
And for me, not being a musician, I was at Abbey Road Studios many years ago doing, kind of touring and writing on the wall and everything. And there was a Rolls Royce parked in front of the steps of the Abbey Road. And there were all these papers on the back seat that said Beatles Anthology. So we all assumed it was George Martin's vehicle that he was there to produce, because we had heard that they were working on this anthology. So I took my camera, this is before digital cameras, and I took a picture through the window of the anthology material on the back seat, which I still have the photo. And it wasn't until I got the photo developed, the film developed back in the day, there happened to be a fan standing next to me on my left, and he had a John Lennon shirt on, the one where John's arms are folded, I guess in the Walls and Bridges period or something, or the New York period. And all you could see was in the reflection of the window, you could see John standing there with his arms folded.
Oh, cool.
Looking at me, and I didn't plan. I mean, I had no idea that was the picture until I got it picture.
That's cool.
That's crazy stuff. So, all right, let's make it a lighter moment here. Mark and Andy, the first earliest song you ever wrote, but it's got to be the worst one. Can you give us a little bit of it? I was listening to the Paul McCartney interview with Sean Lennon, and he played a rejected Beatles song that he thought was really terrible. So I thought, well, if Paul can do it, you guys can do something that maybe never made the cut. Have you got something?
Wow. Everything we've written is so great. It's
hard, right?
It's really hard to dig down deep. But I think there was a song that Mark and I did in our earliest band, and we were called The London Fog. And we soon would change it to just The Fog, because we thought perhaps the London Fog Raincoat Company might sue these 13-year-old boys that were playing in a band called the London Fog. Anyhow, so we shortened it to The Fog. And we did a song. Mark, you might remember this. If you remember this, you're a good man. The song was called Terry.
Terry.
Okay. Terry, as in a girl's name Terry. Okay, not a boy's name Terry, but a girl's name Terry. And it went something like this. The skies are getting bluer and my love is getting truer for Terry, Terry, Terry. And there's a girl that I still see around, and she's loved that song, and her name was Mary, and she thought we were singing Mary, but it was Terry, but she still loved the song. And that's the worst song we've ever done.
And thankfully, I don't remember it. So it's all worked out in lots of
You might have been having a smoke.
Went upstairs to have a smoke.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Peter? Have you got one that you're too embarrassed to pull out of the songbook?
Oh, wow. Well, it's funny because I've been spending the COVID time, instead of playing music, listening to my old recordings going back to 64.
Okay.
And transferring them to CD. And I'm hearing a lot of bad songs I forgot about. I don't even know if I can play this. This is like one of the very first songs I wrote with a friend. You can have my love if you want it. You can have my love, I don't care. Something like that.
Wow.
It was terrible. He wrote the words and I wrote the music.
You know what? This is going to be like a day in the life. I can picture. You can have my love, Terry.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, I could do that. Yeah. You can have my love, Terry. If I
Hal, can you hit the middle
Mary.
Rise? Do the rise. We need the rise, Hal. We need the rise.
We need the rise. Come on.
the rise from Day in a Life right in the middle of that.
That's right there.
I
All right,
I
Hal,
don't think
so
Hal has written any bad songs.
Hal has never written a bad song. Hal, which is the one
Never.
that you're too embarrassed to play for us?
I've written way more bad songs than I have good songs. But
Haven't we all?
All right, we
My-
only have 2 hours, so try to.
my very first single I recorded for a company called World Records. It was a Canadian record company, I think, out of manufacturing, I think, out of Ontario. And I wrote a song called "I'm Leaving," which is on I've got 2 anthologies, volume 1 and 2. And it started, I had to put it on there. Now, it's not a great song, but I don't think it's a bad one, but actually, I wrote it with the Beatles in mind, hard to believe. And so I'll just play just a little bit of it. It's called "I'm Leaving." I had recorded it, like I say, in '83, my very first single. So it goes something like this.
Okay.
Well, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know what I'll do. But I know I've got to leave, 'cause you don't need. Well, this time I'm moving on, been too long and so kind of like a wheel, I've got to roll on down the right road. So many times I stay to wonder why you just got to do me under. Now it's time to read, don't remember. I can't stay another day. I'll get away. Anyway.
Oh, come on. That's the best
yeah.
bad song I've ever heard.
That's
I
got a
get-
monkey's feel to
Hey,
it.
I like it. I like it.
Got
I like,
monkeys,
I like that grit.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh,
That's
All right,
quite
Vinny. We've just about killed an hour here. I want to thank everybody for coming on this interview and this Zoom interview, which is posted up on Facebook and also on YouTube, and hopefully we can all share it. Anybody want to dare try like a round robin of Give Peace a Chance in honor of John's birthday?
We can give it a trance.
Okay,
We can
all right.
give it a try.
Okay, I'll go with Andy and Mark first.
All right. So, Hal, can you what is this in? Can you give me a
I
chord?
think it's it might be in C, it might be in D, but I think C is a safe key.
For the verse? Everybody's talking? Is
Yeah.
it in C?
Yeah, I
Everybody-
think-
okay. Can you strike that C? All right, here goes nothing.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Everybody's talking about baggism, shaggism, dragism, madism, ragism, tagism, thisism, thatism, ism.
next.
All
Next.
we
All we're saying is give peace and chance.
Over to Peter.
All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Peter,
Mark it.
Everybody talking about
okay.
ministers, sinisters, banisters and canisters, bishops, bishops and rabbis and Popeyes and bye-bye. Bye-bye. All we are saying, give peace a chance. All we are saying, getting tangled up in my give peace a chance.
Hal?
what?
I'll take it. Everybody's talking about revolution, evolution, masturbation, flatulation, regulation, integration, meditations, United Nations. Congratulations!
Give peace a
A
chance.
chance.
Last time. Last time.
All right, go ahead, Hal.
Last verse. Everybody's talking about John and Yoko, Timmy Lee, Rosemary, Tommy Smuggler, Bobby Dylan, Tommy Cooper, Eric Taylor, Norman Miller, Alan Guzman, Harry Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna.
All right, you guys, fantastic job. Fantastic,
Hey, Joe,
fantastic.
can I show you one thing, Joe? Hey,
Yes,
Joe.
please, please, please,
Okay.
please, Andy.
Mark brought brought the Smothers Brothers to the Empire Theater here
Nice. Okay.
back around 2004. Anyways, I got the chance to interview Tommy Smothers and talk to him all about being a part of the recording of Give Peace a Chance.
Awesome.
And it was a fantastic interview. Make a long story short, he told me that John always used to introduce Tommy when he was in a gathering. He would say, and this is Tommy Smothers, brother. And so I got Tommy Smothers to sign this picture. I don't know if you can see it.
Well, hold it up to your camera there. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
And he said, to Andy, from Tommy Smothers, brother.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That is
How cool is
awesome.
that?
That is awesome. Well, I want to thank Peter Conrad, Andy Forgy, Mark Rashad, Hal Bruce. Round robin here. Where can everybody find you guys? Andy and Mark, where can they find you online? If they want to
Well,
look up the
you
band?
can find us on the All You Need Is Love site, but you can also find us on the corner, on the street corner, and
Photograph,
and
the
Photograph,
Empire
and
Theater,
Empire Theater, and
you
all
can
kinds
find
of
us.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Peter Conrad, where can we locate you if we want to see your music and get your CDs?
You can find me walking around the streets of beautiful downtown Wilbury, Ohio, if you're lucky, or you can find me at peterconradmusic.com.
Fantastic. And Hal Bruce, my brother, where are you these days digitally?
Well, you can check me out on halbruce.com, but this Thursday coming up, this Thursday, what day is it? Monday?
It might be last Thursday by the
No,
time we.
this Thursday, isn't it? This Thursday. Yeah, I'm doing the John Lennon tribute on Thursday at 8 o'clock our time, but it's going to be 12 o'clock midnight England time, so I wanted to be early for the John Lennon tribute.
Fantastic.
And the week after, I'm
Nice.
doing a concert in Halifax, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Well, we all hope to be back together in 2021 for Abbey Road on the River. Abbey Roads will have all the information on their Facebook page. You can find me at brunchradio.com with Beetle Brunch. And I hope to see all you guys. Miss you guys. And it's been a real great honor and a pleasure for me to goof around with you guys for an hour.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Joe.
Melissa. Thanks, Melissa.
Everybody.
Thank you,
Hal,
guys.
Peter,
Take care,
Melissa.
guys.
Nice to see everybody again.
Yeah.
Good to
Take
see
care,
you
Peter.
Happy
too.
birthday, John. We wish he was here with us.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Too.